Hello and welcome to CTEMPs instructional videos for putting together your CTEMPs distributed temperature sensing systems. We offer from CTEMPs, we have two different types of DTS systems. We call them Generation 2 and Generation 3. Gen 2 are our slightly older SensorNet Oryx units, and our newer ones are, or Generation 3, is the Silixa XT. Most of the time, the setup will be quite similar, but we will have some videos that will break out the two instruments where we need to, but for the most part, they go together quite simply. So what I would suggest is stop this video anytime. There'll be multiple videos that you can go through. Make a copy. You'll have a copy with you. We will send you one with the instrument, and go to the lab and set up your instrument inside first. Don't try to do this outside for the first time. It's always kind of exciting if you do that. All right, so your instrument has come in off of a pallet. Somebody unloaded it off a pallet. You've got a pile of stuff. What have you got? You got 3 bags, okay? The bags contain the mounting hardware for the solar panels if you're using solar, if we sent you solar. The mounting hardware for the rack that holds the distributed temperature sensing. A toolkit. This is the distributed temperature sensing system in here. It's fully weatherized and contained. We'll open that up in a little while and show you how you set that up. These are the antennas for a modem. Put those on later. Next set of stuff you have are the hardware for attaching the DTS out in the field and the solar panels. So it might look like a little bit of a lot of stuff to work on, and it will take you a little bit of time. So give it some time, but we'll walk you through how all this fits together. Okay, then coming on a little bit further, this is the power systems that you will be getting, depending upon what you have. If you have line power, that is, you can plug your DTS into the wall, we'll be sending you a simple power cable that you plug in and connect to the box. If not, we'll be sending you a solar panel system. This is one. We usually typically send you 4 solar panels. This is the charge controller for the solar panels. This is all the cabling for your solar panels, so you can set them up outside in the sun. And then you will be supplying your own battery, and this is a cable that would connect 2 batteries together, so you have backup power batteries with the solar system. And I think, so that's about all. Again, it may look a little daunting when you first get it. Don't worry about it. Call us, email us, or text us if you have any questions while you're putting it together, or if you think you're missing something. So we will be around to help you. Good. All right, well, let's get started putting this thing together. All right, now that we've unpacked some of our hardware for setting up the DTS, I've assembled the first leg of the stand, just so you get a sense of what it's going to look like. We've got a horizontal piece of, this is called unistrut, and this is the vertical piece, and we've just got some support. So we'll walk through putting that together, but again, just wanted to let you know what it's going to look like when we're all done. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. All right, so of the 2 unistruts, again, you're going to have 4 of these. We've already assembled one. One is slightly longer. The longer one is the vertical. The shorter one is the horizontal. Quite simple. All right, I'm working on a piece of foam here just to keep things a little quieter for you. How do we assemble this? All the parts that you need are going to be in your bag of parts, which is right here. Okay, so all the hardware is in here, so just pull out what you need. We're going to pull out this angle iron. We're going to pull out a couple of these, what we call groovy nuts. Okay, and why are they called groovy nutsy? Well, they slide into the grooves of the unistrut to give us a place to mount everything on. Okay, they're also pretty cool. All right, so let's get started. On the base piece, usually it will be marked as the base. There might be a couple of indications as to where to put the 45-degree angle piece and the vertical. If not, just make the 2 of them identical. That's all you need to do. It's not critical that it's in exactly the right place. All right, so we're going to bring the 90-degree on. And all I have to do with these groovy nuts is slide them on about where they need to be. I can even leave them attached. And I just squeeze them, and if the nuts are loose, the bolts are loose, oops, comes off. All right, so put that together. And just tighten it down loosely to start with. And we're going to set that, and that's a little bit loose, and they slide around. Okay, very good. So next, let's take the vertical, and for this one it is a lot easier to disconnect the nuts out and slide them on first onto the vertical. Okay, just take your time. Again, out in the field, if you're doing this for the first time in the field, it might be a little exciting. So again, do it in the lab if you can. Slide these on. And you'll notice in the bag of hardware, we've got extras of all of these. So we do expect you to lose a few of these out in the field, and that's just fine. So again, keeping everything loose. Chris, you want to come around here a little bit and just see, all I'm doing is just putting this bolt into the, lining it up, and just hand tightening to start with. Again, it's a good idea, I forgot to mention, safety glasses while you're working with this. Everything should be safe. Keep yourself and your colleagues safe while you're working. Try not to hit yourself on the head. All right, so we got that loosely tightened up. Again, it's just loose. I'm gonna lay it over. It might be a little easier if it can't fall over. Now I'm gonna take this 45, and that's also quite easy. That goes in with, again, one of our sliding groovy nuts. We loosen it up, pull it up just so you can see a little better. I'm just gonna put that in. Again, everything's loose so we can wiggle it around, get it all lined up correctly, and then we'll go in and tighten. Okay, there we go. Now for the connection here, if you notice, instead of going in from the grooved side or the hollow side of the unistrut, we're actually going in the flat side. So we use a slightly different connecting bolt, and that's just got a flat piece on the back. This sometimes can be a little awkward. You have to hold the nut on the back by sliding it in. Usually it slides in this way, and then you turn it. Can be sometimes a two-person job, and then just feel around until you can get the bolt to start to go in. Perfect. Very good. All right. So one thing we want to just double check now. We've already got our existing one built. Let's make sure that they match. So I'm just going to lay it over it. Make sure they're in the same place, and as you can see, they're not quite. So the one that's loose, I can just wiggle it around. And again, it's not super critical if they're not exactly the same. But there they are. All right. So with this, just take a nut driver, tighten them up. Again, you don't have to tighten them fully yet. Just get them so that it's snug. This one out of the way. And again, in your toolkit, you'll have all of these as well, so you should be just fine. You've got all the tools you need. And again, we might even give you some extra ones because we do have these. All right, I think we're pretty good and tight. So now, what's our next step? Our next step is going to be to put the stand onto the DTS box. And it's easiest to do this while having the DTS box enclosure horizontal on a flat table at about working level, at about waist level. It just makes it easier. So right now, we're going to just then take this DTS box and make sure all the connectors, the closures, the locks are on, and I'm going to turn it over, okay, so that the back side is facing upward. What we're going to do that, just pay attention. You've got fittings here, so just be careful. This is a two-person job. The box itself probably weighs 20 or 30 kilos, so you just want to be really careful with this. Don't hurt yourself, but just, all right. We've turned our DTS box over, our enclosure, so now we're looking at the back side of it. And if you notice, I put down a piece of foam or just something soft between the enclosure and whatever surface we're on so we don't scratch it. Okay, you can just use a towel, anything you have, a piece of foam. All right, so here's our one stand, and if you notice, the DTS box has a couple of tabs on it for where we're going to attach the the stand to it. The upper holes are enclosed, are solid. The bottom ones are open, so it makes it a little bit easier to attach. All right, all we're gonna do is we're just gonna take our stand, and it's gonna just mount onto there, kind of like that. We'll have our 90-degree facing backwards, so we have full access to the DTS when it's forward. All right, so the same thing, we've got the same, again, what we call groovy nuts. We'll slide one down, because we're gonna need that for down here. We'll put one up here on the top. And again, probably a second person would be helpful, just to make sure this doesn't wiggle or hurt you or fall on you. But just reach up through and start tightening up. So I've just connected the top one. It's just lightly in. Make sure it's solid. Okay, hold on to it. Don't wiggle it around too much. And just bring your second connector in down at the bottom. I'm just going to slide this out so I can see it a little easier. The nice thing about this lower tab is, again, it's open to the bottom. So I can just tighten it up. And I've set the stand such that we're just about at the end of the stand up at the top. And I'm just going to hand tighten these for now. Okay. We're going to do the same for the other side, and then we'll apply it. So we put the second leg onto our DTS enclosure, and now let's just make sure everything's tight, because pretty soon we're going to start lifting it and moving it around. So just walk around, get it tight to all the nuts and bolts that are attached, or the bolts I should say, that are attached to the enclosure. Hand tight. Okay, very good. All right, next thing we're going to do, if you notice, the stand kind of wiggles a little bit. It's not the end of the world, but we can probably best in the field to fix that. So we have a couple of stays. There's angle iron, angle aluminum, and we're going to place one here on the back, and we're going to place the second one. The second one can go up here on the front. Okay. Again, I wouldn't go too far out because you're going to be standing in front of the DTS. You just don't want to trip on this. Probably want to mount it like that. Okay, so let's just put one on. Very simple. Again, still using the same attachments. These flexible nuts like that. We'll just take one off. Again, just attach this centering bar. You can see I've got everything kind of at a convenient level to work with, not straining. And to always work smarter, not harder, they say. And one more. There we go. But take your time. And again, you're going to be also doing this out in the field, so it's not a bad idea maybe to put down a tarp or some kind of a plastic that you're working on, so that if you drop something, you can find it in the dirt. I've already put one up here. But again, there are spares in the toolkit and in the hardware kit. So if you lose something, don't worry about it. And don't stress when you send it back to us if you've lost a few nuts and bolts. If you lose the DTS, well, then we might be a little more upset. All right, so this is nice and tight, nice all in the same place. Just do a quick lock it in place. Again, everything is relatively hand tight, nothing serious. That really stiffens it up quite a bit. Just for safety, we'll probably put the other one on as well. So with that, I'm going to put this other one on, and then we'll show you what it all looks like when it's all put together. All right, so we've taken our DTS off the table with two of us and gently laid it horizontal, or vertical I should say, so this is how it's going to be out in the field. And just a quick review or overview so you can see what it looks like when it's all completed. We've got the stand, verticals, 45s coming back this way so they're not in your way. The two horizontal pieces to keep the legs stable. Sometimes, if you want to, you can put this second horizontal back over here, put it right in here, and it can be a place for your batteries to be off the ground if you want to. That's up to you. We don't necessarily need to have the horizontal struts front and back. So that's up to you. All right, let's take a quick look then. What have we got on the inside? That's what it looks like in the front. I've just opened up the DTS box. And that's what you should be looking at. Okay? It's accessible, you can see it, you can work with it easily, all your connectors. Very good. So with that, we're going to stop this video. We're going to move now into starting to work on some of the electronics on the inside. So stay tuned, watch the next video when you're ready.